This is Neha Anand. I'm an editor at the Fifth Estate. I have with me Jai Santhoshi, who's contesting for the post of Cultural Affairs Secretary Lit. So we'll get started with the questions. So your first question is Sarang 2022 ended up with something of a negative image in the GSP, the absence of a website, low sponsorship, students criticizing the planned offline events on SMail, the T5E coverage, rumors of the COVID outbreak at Sarang, Cork, and the generally poor experience that the organizing teams talk about. How do you correct this image of Sarang and ensure that this does not affect the recruitment for next year?
So to start with, I think Sarang as such is one of our. It's we hold proud pride to sort of the okay. Um, so to begin with, Sarang as such, we hold pride to the sort of festival we've been hosting all along these years. Post COVID, we've seen a decline in the participation and the sort of image that we hold. So it begins with setting the right vision and holding right leadership. And what we lacked this year was having contingency plans for the sort of vision that we set and the sort of agenda that we held. And I believe that breaking the repetition of doing every year doing the same thing every year on year, I would want to bring in something new. And a lot of my initiatives on my manifesto this year also are based on bringing in radical ideas like tech based initiatives like Sarang NFTs, and also pushing for graffitis for good for the social campaign. And out of this, it's not about just building the brand image amongst the students, but also to the public and the other stakeholders. And something that I would really want to push for here is it's not.
How do you think the cultural calendar should change with the transition to offline mode, given that people have less time to commit while they are on campus to culturals? Recent events like the cultural crash course, besides being crammed together with Lickstock and Samprava at a very busy time, had rather poor participation. What are the changes that you will make in the offline semester to sustain enthusiasm and to ensure that the organizers' efforts are not wasted in planning these events?
So to start with, I believe that the major reasoning for crunch in the planning was because of lack of planning in itself and not having a contingency plan. And I believe that accounting for both the organization and the stakeholder participation load would be the first and foremost thing that I would take into account. And setting up a calendar taking into account not just like the academic load, but also the load that the teams have to carry on for every single initiative that the secretaries cores and the teams have proposed, along with every idea that comes in from the team should be accounted for. And this should be done once both the secretaries get elected, and it has to be set forward with the right vision. And I believe that I also spoke to a couple of other IITs where they told that they host a lot of events more than us, but the one thing that they efficiently plan for is they set up the calendar right after they get elected, and it's pushed for very actively without any slacking off. So this year we didn't have anything in the odd semester, and that is what caused the entire even semester load. I believe that pushing for the calendar to fall in the right place is something that has to happen.
During the pandemic, college fests were few and far between and often virtual. How do you think this has impacted the contingent?
Right.
And what is your plan to build and train a strong cultural contingent, given that most of the old guard has graduated?
So the first and foremost thing that I would point out are four things that the contingent sort of lacks right now, including the guidance that they should be receiving from their seniors. One is the sort of bonding that they have. Cultural contingents seldom have bonding as a whole. And second is like the practice that they should require, and there is no such specific camp or sort of that training period. And the third is resources and upskilling that they should have. So I'd propose three initiatives specifically in my manifesto for this. One would be sort of providing them with resources, which would be expanding the spaces that are there, which comes under makerspace, and cultopedia, which would be building up a digital inventory. And the second thing is practices through platforms to perform, where they would be performing at reunions and alum chapter meets. And the third thing is having our inter-IT here, because having it at our home base would be the best of all the things that we could have in the upcoming year. And it would not just give contingents the practice, but also the organizing teams the practice before they go on ground for Sarang, which would be a beta testing for us.
So, do you think the GSB understands NFTs or has enough interest in Sarang to take up Sarang NFT collectibles? What is the guarantee that NFTs aren't just another bubble that will burst soon? Considering that you're making long term plans concerning 3 years worth of Sarang Pro Shows tickets with it.
So To sort of answer the first part of the question, which would be whether the GSP understands it or not, Web 3.0 and the whole ideology associated with NFTs is something that's growing exponentially. And I believe that moving forward as an organization is very important. And introducing it today would what will start the whole culture. And I believe that I would strongly do it. Second, the government in itself is centralizing cryptos, and it would be seen as a forward bill hopefully soon. And I think that's a way forward from the Indian government, and I think that this wouldn't lead to any sort of bubble that would break out later on. Moving on to long term plans that would sort of account a lot of net present value and everything to the forthcoming years. I've spoken to a lot of alums and students, and NFTs, as put itself, are exclusive collectibles that would hold entire ownership to whoever buys it. So there are active people who are interested in this, and proof of concept exists from the Sunburns NFTs, and which has been very successful. And it's not just a bubble, it's a whole ecosystem that's growing out there.
Regarding the cultural projects initiative, do you not think that it bureaucratizes the experience of having a hobby and makes it too formal?
So, to put context to what cultural projects are, it's sort of a say that you want to produce a short film or a music song or a book or an anthology. It's a space for both the clubs and the student bodies to propose for whatever they want and take it forward. And what I envision it to be is for it to be an avenue and a channel for people to bring out tangible results and something that would carry value way more forward, and it wouldn't be bureaucratized because at the end of the day it's the students or the club's choice to propose for a project. It's never a compulsion, and it's for someone who wants to bring out a short film, who wants to produce that song, who wants to write that book. Because I've also been in that space and I've seen so many other stakeholders who wanted to produce that song and who had to take individual paths to do it. I want Sangam to be that ecosystem for the students to be able to do what they want in the cultural space without being very committed to what they do, because INSEE at the end of the day provides us with 100 avenues where we cannot choose to explore everything but always choose to be a part of some things and have a good experience with it.
Thank you, Santhoshi,
Yeah.
and good luck.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.